So also announced Saturday was this new mystery game that GW had been talking about. And for those of you that saw my painting stream, my hobby hangout on Wednesday, I called this. I said, this is going to be Warhammer Quest. It's going to be set in the AOS universe. It's going to be kind of vampires and werewolves and witch hunters and kind of vampire hunters, that kind of thing. I was bang on. It was a pure guess based upon the aesthetic and the style of some of the teaser stuff that I'd seen. And I knew it wasn't going to be like a brand new game. I just had a feeling with Blackstone Fortress coming to an end, there was space for a new Warhammer Quest. And here we are, Warhammer Quest Cursed City. And so what I'll do is I'll just kind of play this little trailer in the background. It kind of gives a bit of flavour, but it's more kind of narrative type stuff. But it's saying, speaking of vampires, an epic new Warhammer Quest game brings even more bloodsuckers to the mortal realms. If you and your friends have already defeated the Silver Tower and Blackstone Fortress, you'll find an exciting challenge ahead as you embark on the most dangerous quest yet, into the cursed city of Ulfenkarn. And essentially what the game is based upon is that there's this city, it has kind of, they've given themselves over to this kind of evil force, if you like, who's basically entombed them in this city, and he's bringing back the dead bodies and basically making slaves of the citizens and stuff. And then we have this band of, as you can see here, actually it's a good place to pause that. You've got this band of sort of heroes going in to try and rescue the city. And what we've got here is the person in the middle here is the kind of like the vampire hunter that we saw the miniature of. We've got a model here which looks like it's got sort of stags sort of head coming out there. And if we come onto the map in a minute, I think Sylvaneth is mentioned as well. So potentially we could have a Sylvaneth type hero. This one at the back here looks rather large, and it might be a forced perspective thing, but it does look big in comparison. And this one here to the left definitely looks a bit smaller. So I think potentially we've got some kind of like dwarf hunter, and God knows what this one's going to be. But it looks interesting. Now, when I said on the live stream that's exactly what I thought it would be, I was all over that. That's exactly what I wanted. And when I saw this announced on Saturday, it was just like, right, this is a day one purchase for me. This is exactly what I'm looking for. I absolutely love Silver Tower. The amount of miniatures that you got in there and the quality of the sculpts was fantastic. I didn't pick up Blackstone Fortress, so I can't compare it. But it's everybody that talks about Blackstone Fortress absolutely loved it. And I think everything about this, it's the fact that the setting isn't just your standard kind of AOS setting. It's not your standard Stormcast Eternals. It's not your chaos type stuff. It's much more kind of good and evil set within that universe. And it's saying here, with revised and refined rule system and models you'll never dreamed of, we're going to stick our necks out, not usually a good idea, in Ulfenkarn, and say that a new Warhammer Quest might just be the best game in a box that the fine folks at Warhammer Studios have ever made. And yes, so they've basically teased us with two models. This first one here is Zeltsin Derek, who is a vampire hunter, and the model is absolutely beautiful. The quality of the paint job really sets it off. It's got a very kind of Mordheim type feel to it. If anybody's played what's the video game's called? My mind's gone blank now. You know the video games, which is a bit like Left 4 Dead. If anybody's played those games, there's a character in there that's a little bit like this as well. But it's a beautiful sculpt, really, really atmospheric. Love the paint job that they've done on it. Love the fact that he's kind of got weapons coming out of his ears. He's got this rifle here with like a stake shooter on it as well. He's got stakes down here. He's got his hammer. He's got a sword through the front. He's got a sword across the back. He's got a bag full of stuff here. I even just love the way the sword is just kind of tucked in between the buckles there as well. Really nicely done. And then on the kind of the evil side of things, we've also got the villainous Gorslav, the Gravekeeper. And again, I think it's just a bit different to the AOS aesthetic. It still fits in the AOS universe, but it's got those kind of feels of a little bit of Hellraiser in there. It's got a feel of a little bit of Silent Hill kind of evil in there. It takes it up a notch for me. In the same way, I think things like the Unmade Warband did for Warcry, this is kind of taking it on to a bit of a next level as well, and I really like the aesthetic that they're going with. You can go to, there's a website that's up now for Cursed City, and this is the map I was talking about. So here are the Agents of Defiance. These are the different characters that haven't been shared yet, so there's a few different things here that we will get to see at some point. And then obviously we've got Zeltsin Derek here, and there's a little bit of a backstory about him, about a one-man death squad with a merciless streak a mile wide. Was once part of the Order of Azir, a well-known and fearsome hunter of witches, ethergeists, and cultists of the dark gods. Though his conduct saw him expelled, the exact reason remains a guarded secret. So I love the backstory for him. And then we've got the overlords of Ulfenkhan, who are obviously the kind of the bad guys. And again, there's a number of ones that haven't been shared yet, and they'll be revealed over time. And we've got Gorslav, the Gravekeeper here. This gaunt and towering creature tends the crypts and carnal pits of the Ulfenkhan corpse gardens. Silently, he toils away in his unhallowed domain, ignoring the screaming terror of his victims as he buries them alive beneath mounds of cold grave soil. I love the kind of the horror and the horror story in this. It's something you don't really get in miniature games because it's hard. Like horror films and horror stories are about suspense, and it's about the things that don't happen and the noises that kind of are distracting. So you tend not to get like horror translating really well across. But I love the theme of this, I really do. So then there's this map basically, which is the Cursed City. And this is where I was saying here, some of them are blanked out at the minute. They're actually shaded down, and some of the shields are on the sides here. So we can't really tell exactly what they are or basically or how these fit in. I'm assuming this guy is obviously the grave guy that we've just been talking about. These are potentially maybe hero models or something. But we've got here, which is Hangman's Copse, which is the bat-infested site of a former Sylvaneth embassy, which makes me think that kind of horned one in the picture might be a Sylvaneth model. We've then got the Ven Alton Skydocks. These skydocks used to be the centre of imports, exports and trade relations. We've got the Corpse Gardens, which is where Gorslav, the Gravekeeper, oversees. We've got the Shadow Crypt Halls. Haunting music and screams echo from within the walls. We've got the Clot, which sounds awful. This canal is now clogged by dried gore and is home to many carrion horrors. And then we've got Geistgale, which is no one dares to venture near this gate except the spectral dead. Now, if I was a guessing man, and I've already put my neck on the block and kind of made some predictions with this game, it wouldn't surprise me if those hidden parts are potentially future expansions in the same way we saw for Blackstone Fortress, and the story might progress on a journey sort of like through to whatever this kind of citadel castle is in the middle. That would be awesome to kind of have that progressing story coming through this. And I'm really excited for this for a number of reasons. I'm excited for it because it's not your standard AOS. It's much more based upon things like Silver Tower and based upon Blackstone Fortress. It's a much more of a narrative adventure. You can play those games co-op, which means that you can play them solo technically. So if I can play this solo while we're locked down, then I even like that's like an extra tick in the box of why I would buy this. And of course, the miniatures they're a completely different aesthetic. They just look like they'll be a joy to paint. Today there was a little bit more of an update as well, where it was basically on Warhammer community site telling us a little bit more about Zeltsin Derek, about hunting witches and ethergeist and stuff, the stuff that we read before. And again, just another picture of his model there as well. Bit more about his tools of the trade. He said he's armed with the Ardent Blade. He carries a long-barreled rifle, which he dubbed Juggernaut. Dubbed Judgment, I should say. And with deadly accuracy, he fires sanctified mort silver bullets that punch through armor, flesh, and bone with ease. He also carries stakes carved from Akshayan firewood that burst into flames when they pierce the flesh of the undead. I love the sound of that. But yeah, the model, I think they've done a great job on the paint job. There's been a few paint jobs from GW recently which haven't been to the kind of standard that you expect from GW. Still nicely painted and still well out of my league. But I think this one particularly, I just love like the cracked leather and stuff, and the wood on the stakes. They've done a great job of this one. It says, having arrived at Ulfenkhan, he's determined to sweep it clean of the taint of the undead, but he can't do it without help. We'll be taking a look at some of his vampire hunting buddies as we get closer to the release of Warhammer Quest Cursed City. So, when we start to talk about it, when can we expect to see it? It wouldn't surprise me if we see this kind of around March time. I think there's a lot of stuff that they can be starting to talk about. If it's earlier than that, I'd be all over it. It wouldn't surprise me if this is maybe the Easter weekend release. You know that sometimes they release stuff on a Friday at certain points of the year. It wouldn't surprise me if this was the Easter release, so it might even be kind of back towards April time. But all I can say is this is exactly the kind of game. I don't always get excited for the GW stuff. For all the quality is always fantastic. For all the rules are always kind of, people enjoy playing them. You'll always get players and stuff. I find a lot of stuff is just like, oh yeah, it's really nice. It looks great. They'll be nice to paint. I don't necessarily want to play it. This one is right up my street. It's exactly what I'm looking forward to. So let me know in the comments what you think. Let me know if this is something that's a day one purchase for you. We haven't even touched upon the fact that this is probably going to be another one of those kind of mad kind of pre-orders where everybody's trying to sit at the computer at 10 o'clock in the morning trying to press buy, and the scalpers getting hold of them. No doubt we'll be talking about this in weeks to come when that kind of happens. But yeah, let me know what you think. This is a day one purchase for you. Is it something you're not really interested in? Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching my video. I hope that you really enjoyed it. And if you did, why not consider clicking on the suggested video below to see more of the work that I've done. If you'd like to support the long-term sustainability of this channel, why not consider checking out my Patreon, where you can pledge and support from as little as $2 a month. And there is lots of different tiers and bonuses, which will give you access to a private Discord server. It will give you free t-shirts, free mugs, a podcast every month, and a number of other things, including getting your name at the end of every video, like these awesome folks who already support me now.